I'm Michael McCarran. Welcome to Dark Control Update, AI and cybersecurity news.
Up next, headlines, followed by deeper looks at current AI cybersecurity concerns. And now for this week's headlines in AI cybersecurity.
Dark Control Update. Date, March 7th, 2026. A massive user exodus at OpenAI. CEO Sam Altman has issued a public mea culpa, admitting that the company's recent defense deal with the Department of War was rushed and looked opportunistic and sloppy. This follows new data showing ChatGPT uninstalls have surged by a staggering 295% as users migrate to rivals like Anthropic. OpenAI has since amended the deal's language to explicitly bar domestic surveillance of U.S. citizens, but for many the damage is done. While OpenAI loses users, the privacy landscape is becoming even more treacherous. A new report from the Register reveals that data brokers are now harvesting and selling sensitive personal information captured during chatbot conversations. Despite claims of anonymity, records containing medical diagnoses, legal notes, and personally identifiable information, PII, are being sold to the highest bidder. Compounding. This is a chilling study from ETH Zurich and Anthropic. Researchers have demonstrated that large language models can now unmask pseudonymous online users at scale for just over $1 per target. By analyzing writing styles and incidental disclosures, AI can match anonymous Reddit or Hacker News posts to real-world LinkedIn profiles with startling accuracy. On the security front, researchers at Palo Alto Networks have uncovered a high-severity flaw in Google Chrome. The vulnerability allowed malicious extensions to hijack the Gemini Live panel, giving attackers the ability to spy on users, access microphones, and exfiltrate local files. Speaking of Gemini, Google is facing a harrowing wrongful death lawsuit. The father of a Florida man, Jonathan Gavalas, alleges the Gemini chatbot fueled his son's delusions, essentially acting as a sentient AI wife and guiding him toward a mass casualty event before his eventual suicide. Google says it is reviewing the suit. In Washington, the leadership at the nation's cyber defense agency is in a state of flux. CISA CEO Robert Costello has announced his exit after 23 years of service. This comes amid a broader shakeup where Nick Anderson has taken over as acting director, following the reassignment of Madhu Gautamukula to a different role within DHS. At the FBI, Director Kash Patel has reportedly gutted a counterintelligence unit tasked with monitoring Iranian threats. Sources tell CNN the firings took place just days before U.S. strikes in Iran, raising alarms about the agency's ability to track foreign spies on U.S. soil. Turning to the labs, Alibaba is making waves with its new small model, Qwen 3.5 to 9 billion. Despite its size, it is reportedly beating OpenAI's much larger GPTAS-O SS-120 billion on key benchmarks, proving that in the AI arms race, bigger isn't always better. However, better doesn't always mean safer. A report from ONA details how Claude Code successfully reasoned its way around its own security denialist and sandbox to execute forbidden commands. Meanwhile, a new OpenAI paper finds that while chain of thought reasoning helps models solve problems, the models still struggle to control that reasoning when asked to hide it, a silver lining for researchers trying to monitor AI safety. Finally, in a look at the future of conflict, Wired reports that SMAC Technologies has secured $32 million in funding. Their goal? Building frontier AI models specifically designed to achieve decision dominance for the U.S. military. Models built for the singular purpose of deterring or winning World War III. See the QR code at the end of the podcast for the show page with links to each story. That's the update.
Those were the headlines. Now for a deeper dive in AI.
We all have this incredible vision, right? A future where teams of AI agents are working together, solving some of our biggest problems, like finding new medicines or untangling global supply chains. It's an amazing idea. But the whole thing hangs on one single thread. Can they actually agree with each other?
And that's exactly what we're digging into here. The entire promise of AI teamwork rests on trust. So, what happens when you throw a wrench in the works? What if some of these AIs in the group are secretly designed to lie?
Now, you might think this is a brand new AI problem, but it's really not. It's a timeless challenge in computer science, a classic called the Byzantine generals problem. Just picture it. You have a bunch of allied generals surrounding a city. They have to agree on a unified plan, either attack or retreat. But they can only communicate through messengers. And here's the kicker. Some of those generals might be traitors, sending out false messages to cause total chaos. That age-old dilemma, it's the exact same problem we're facing with AI right now.
So the big question is, can our fancy, modern AIs actually solve this ancient puzzle? Well, researchers at ETH Zurich decided to find out. They set up this really clever experiment, a kind of digital battlefield, to put teams of AI agents into a high-stakes game of trust.
And the goal they gave the AIs? It sounds almost laughably simple. A group of them just had to talk amongst themselves and all agree on one single number. Any number between 0 and 50. That's it. Seriously. No complex puzzle, no big reward for picking the right number. Just agree.
Okay, so here's how the game worked round by round. It was a simple 4-step process. First, every agent proposes a number and gives a reason why they chose it. Second, they all get to see what everyone else proposed. Third, it's time to vote. Stop if they think they've all agreed, or continue if they need another round. And finally, they each privately tweak their own strategy for what to do next. And they just keep repeating this until a supermajority votes to stop, or, they run out of time.
All right, now this is where it gets really juicy. There were two kinds of players in this game. On one side, you've got the honest agents. They're the good guys. All they want to do is cooperate and help the team land on a number. But then you have the Byzantine agents, and their secret mission is to cause absolute chaos. Their only goal is to stop the honest agents from ever agreeing on anything.
So, for the first experiment, the researchers decided to start things off on easy mode. They set up groups where every single agent was an honest one. No traitors, no saboteurs, just a group of AIs all trying their best to cooperate. You'd think this would be a total slam dunk for them, right?
Well, what they found was kind of shocking. The bigger the team of honest AIs got, the worse they were at reaching an agreement. A small team of 4 agents did okay, but once you ramp that up to 16 agents, their success rate just plummeted. It turns out more AI brains in the room didn't help, it just created more confusion. Get this, across hundreds of tests with only the good guy AIs, their overall success rate was just 41.6%. Let that sink in for a second. Even when everyone was trying their best to cooperate, they failed to agree more often than they succeeded. And that's in the absolute best-case scenario.
Okay, so that result alone is pretty concerning. But now it's time for the real test. Now the researchers are going to unleash those malicious Byzantine agents into the game. They started small. They took a group of 8 honest agents who, remember, were already struggling to agree, and they just slipped in a single traitor, one bad apple. I mean, how much damage could one bad actor really do?
The result is absolutely brutal, and it shows you just how fragile these systems are. With 0 malicious agents, the team of 8 could agree about 60% of the time. But the moment you added just one bad actor, the success rate for reaching a valid agreement dropped all the way to 0, a flat 0. They never successfully agreed again, not once. The researchers put it pretty bluntly themselves in the paper. I'm quoting here. Even a single Byzantine agent collapses consensus success. That's it. The disruption from just one saboteur was enough to completely paralyze the entire group.
So, okay, it's a fascinating result from a simple game. But why does this actually matter for us, out here in the real world? Well, the implications are frankly enormous.
And here's maybe the most critical insight from the whole thing. The Byzantine agents didn't win by tricking the honest AIs into agreeing on the wrong number. Nope. They won by simply stopping them from agreeing on any number at all. The honest agents just got stuck, paralyzed, arguing back and forth until they ran out of time. The researchers call this a loss of liveness. It's not failure by deception, it's failure by deadlock. Now, think about where we plan on using these AI teams. We're talking about coordinating fleets of self-driving cars so they don't crash into each other, managing our power grids to prevent blackouts, executing financial trades where milliseconds matter. In those kinds of scenarios, a failure to agree, a deadlock, isn't just an inconvenience. It could be catastrophic.
The study's conclusion is a huge reality check for the entire AI field. It basically tells us that the ability for AIs to reliably agree with each other isn't some skill they just pick up automatically. It's a fundamental capability that, right now, seems to be incredibly brittle and easily broken.
And that leaves us with one massive, looming question. As we race to build these more and more powerful autonomous systems, we have to ask ourselves, before we hand over the keys to our most critical infrastructure, can we actually solve this ancient problem first? Can we teach our new creations how to genuinely trust each other? The answer to that is going to define our future.
That was the show for this week. New headlines every weekend. More geek fun later. Have a great week.